Hi guys, it's Talicia, and I figured to end the year off I would do an equestrian year in review because personally I love year in review videos on YouTube, but I've never seen an equestrian one, so I thought I'd do one myself. To start off the year, we put Kai on the float for the first time since arriving at my place. He had a horrible experience floating here. We did not float him, his breeders did. And he was only 5 months old at that stage, so as you can see he had a few moments. The full video is on my channel along with every other video that is in this video, so if you want to see everything just scroll through my channel. He was very brave and did get on. We didn't take him anywhere, we just put him on and took him back off, and getting off the second time, as you can see, he was much better and a lot calmer. So here we have one of my flat rides from January, and obviously we are not at this stage anymore, which you will see as you watch further on the video, but I wanted to include all of this so you can see where we were at the start of the year. As you can see, Jep's pole is fairly low. She's on the forehand majority of the time and fighting against the pressure. We were jumping this day, and it was also our fitness ride when we used to do our fitness rides. These were when we started walk to canters. As you can see, we struggled to get the correct leg, and they were there but they just weren't clean. And of course I wanted to include a nice gallop, which we love doing at the end of a lot of our rides. Now this is Kai's first ever injury, which happened from him slipping over in the paddock, and he had a very badly swollen hock, but he obviously made a full recovery. He was just very sore. Now, first show of the year was probably one of the most exciting ones. It was Barrel Show, and I met this lovely lady who saw me riding, and she gave the opportunity to me to compete her little Welsh pony here, Finesse, the little roan, as well as her dapple grey Welsh pony, Reggie, in the driven classes, which was really fun. I'd never done the driven classes before, so it was all a learning experience, and I'd never competed anyone else's horses until this show. This also opened up many more opportunities for this year and next year, which you will see throughout this video. But it was an amazing show. I went really well on all of the horses. We got first in my driver classes, and I got a couple thirds and seconds on Finn. And then Jep and I absolutely smashed the sporting, getting in the top 3 in all of the sporting events and all of the hacking events as well. It was a great show. Here is one of the first jumping sessions of the year. Well, the first one filmed pretty much. It shows that Jep was still refusing. However, we equalled our PB in this, jumping 1.15 meters. And now we are on to February. So here are just some more flat work of Jep and I. As you can see, it's very not great. Here's our leg yields, which we just started. As you can see, she's really leading with the shoulders. It's just not straight. Some more jumping, just little jumps and some cross-country jumps. This was at one of the fun days at Holly Hall when I used to go to Holly Hall. So it was a really fun day, and we also took Kai along just on the lead. Just for experience. He's honestly such a brave boy and takes everything so well. Like, I don't understand how he's as brave as he is, which is amazing. I was so proud of him this day. He even stepped over a log. Woo, Grand Prix show jumper! This is Crookwell show. I competed both Finesse and Reggie. I did Reggie in his lead classes and ridden and led on Finesse. It was a very successful show. Reggie and I placed first in his lead classes, and Finesse and I got mostly firsts and seconds, which was amazing. This is my second time ever riding her. I only ever ride Finesse at shows, so it's quite challenging. And she's only 4, believe it or not, so she's a gorgeous mover, but she is quite green, especially with the contact. She tends to slip behind the vertical quite a bit, so it is quite hard keeping her head forward while she gets tired, especially because that's when she tends to dip behind the vertical. But we got reserve champion large hunter pony, which was amazing, and I was so happy with that. Here are my 2 ponies enjoying running around in their new paddock. This is at my neighbour's place when we were resting our property for a little bit, and he was nice enough to let me put both my horses at his for a bit. And obviously it's just Kai mainly running around, but look how cute he is. Look at his little Arab trot. And then he just pretty much stirs Jep up and makes her run with him. And he's just Jep playing with her rug. Now we are on to March, and this is the Robertson show. Now, I was pretty happy with how Jep performed at this show. Her pole's starting to come up a lot more, which I was so happy with. Keep in mind, at this stage in the year, Jep and I have never had a lesson. We are completely self-taught together, and before her as well, I was self-taught apart from having 1 or 2 lessons. But other than that, we were doing it all by ourselves. I do begin to get lessons later on in the year, but it's not for another couple months, and I love doing my sporting on Jep. We went pretty well at this show as well, getting mostly firsts and seconds, and the sporting was very tough, so we didn't actually place in this sporting, but I was so happy with her anyway, and honestly, that is all that matters, isn't it, guys? Now, this is Mossvale show. Jep was a bit off this day. She performed amazing still, despite being a bit off. However, she had been a bit cheeky, I noticed throughout the day, just little things, and she started to disunite in her canter, which is very unlike her, especially nowadays, but she just started to do things like this and like bucking, which isn't like her, so I pulled her out from the rest of the day, and she got checked over by a body worker for the first time since I've owned her. I never had her checked over, and she was a bit out in her hind end. However, after he looked over her, she was perfect and back to herself, which was, ever since then, he's been coming out every 2 months. She doesn't need it that often, but it just helps her stay in the amazing shape she's in. And this was a lovely fan I met at Mossvale show. She was so sweet. So we brought home reserve champion, senior rider, and Galloway hack. April, aka Sydney Royal. This is when I started getting lessons. Once I found out I was going to be competing finesse at Sydney Royal, I was like, alright, I need to get lessons. I found an amazing coach. His name is Les Friend, and I 100% recommend him. He's an amazing coach, and he clicks with Jep and I so much. And he also gave me a couple lessons on Finn. So here I feature all the horses I rode while I was at Sydney. I only competed on finesse, but I was lucky enough to have a ride on a few other horses, whether it be just working them or warming them up or whatever it was. It was honestly amazing. It was such a good experience. I'd never competed at a Royal, and to jump into Sydney Royal being my first ever one was a blessing, and I just wanted to thank Jane so much for giving me the opportunity to compete her gorgeous ponies and compete at such big prestigious shows. It's opened up so many opportunities to me, and I'm forever thankful to her. Thanks, Jane. And there's Les. Okay, this is a little jump ride I had on Jep. Now, Jep was very on and off with work throughout this time because I was going from Sydney Royal, then later on to Bathurst Royal a couple weeks later. But we managed to fit in a few rides and have a little jump ride here, which she was amazing. These jumps are around 1995. Not measured, I'm just assuming. That one there is close to a metre because it's on the top of the barrels, so I think that's just a bit over a metre. But I don't know exactly. I didn't measure them, I just jumped them. But nonetheless, she was amazing, and her jumping was really starting to improve. Here's a little video of Kai, because we have to fill in videos with Kai, don't we? Because he's just an adorable little monkey. He's like, I play? Yes? Oh, he's so handsome. Next show is Bathurst Royal, which was such a good show. I do feature a few other horses I rode. That is Holly, who I competed in the show jumping as well, which was very interesting. She's a very speedy little pony. And that was Amadeus the Grey. But Finn and I went amazing in the hacking. We actually brought home a champion ribbon as well as champion novice dressage pony, which is insane at a Royal. She was honestly awesome, and this was the last time I've actually ridden her. And there's Holly in the show jumping. Yeah, we got a little out of hand in that show jumping. I have a vlog on this if you want to see the full round, but she's definitely a little firecracker. And that's Ernie, another one of Jane's horses, and there's Amadeus, who I just warmed up a little bit. But Finn went well in all her classes, placing second in a lead Welsh pony class out of such a big group, and it was insane that we managed to get second. But there are our ribbons from Bathurst Royal. She's a star. Here we have May, when Jep and I really started to focus on competing together again, because I had time to focus on her and not worry about riding other ponies, which, trust me, I loved it, but it's nice to have ride my own pony. This is Silver Hills Hunter Trials. She was very off in the show jumping and both of us were just, not ourselves, getting quite bad distances. However, this was our first ever clear cross-country course, which I was very happy about. It was about 80 centimetres. Here is a video of me and Kai just playing in the paddock. This was the first time we'd ever done this, so he's quite, you know, on edge. And I was a little bit nervous actually at some stages, but we do this all the time now. Unfortunately, I don't actually have any more clips of the recent ones, but he's gotten so much better with his ground manners and personal space. He's a little gem. He's definitely a star of a little baby. Here we have Cassius. This is my first ride on Cassius, who was a horse I was working for quite a while. However, I ended the relationship, which I won't get into why, but long story short, it was more trouble than it was worth, and I just wasn't happy in this type of environment. So this is Cassius. He's a warm blood, just over 16 hands, I think. He's a very educated warm blood. I was just keeping him in work. However, he did have some soundness issues, which meant he was never in consistent work. Now here we have Jep and I at the Wallandilly Pony Club show jump and dressage day. She was a really amazing little horse in her dressage tests. I was so happy with her. At this stage we still haven't competed in official dressage tests, keep in mind. And here was our first C grade show jumping, which is about 75 centimetres. And here we have Kai on his first ever time ponying on the road. He'd ponied before, but just not on the road, and as you can see, he's pretty chill. Like, what even is he? How is he too? And here he is crossing a bridge in June. I like doing little things like this with him because it's a lot similar to float training as well. It's a very sturdy bridge and can easily take his weight plus a lot more. Here's Jep and I when we started doing our shoulder ins. This was the start of our shoulder ins actually. They're not bad, hey. And our leg yields are still not quite straight enough, but they're getting there. Her pole's rising a little bit, however we struggle when she got tired at this stage, because at this stage she didn't have the right muscles to keep her pole up long enough. And here's a ride on Cassius. If you pay close attention, you can see he is a bit off in his hind. This is also the last time I actually rode Cassius. I was just a bit worried riding him because I never felt like he was completely sound ever when I rode him, so I decided that it wasn't right for me to keep riding him because I felt bad. Here is a June Shibumi, and we pulled 2 firsts in our tests, which was amazing. We did a prelim and a novice. I was really happy with her this day. I remember I was so happy with how well she went, and her leg yields felt a lot better. However, they still were not straight at this stage. She was still leading with the shoulder and kind of trailing her hind end, as you can see in this clip here. But they took us a while to get right. We also did the show jumping, and it was 65 centimetres, I believe, and we placed 3rd in that, which was awesome. Go Jeppo! And this is all our prizes from that Shibumi. Now we have July, and this is my favourite thing to do with Jep. As you can see, I don't have any reins or a neck rope or anything on. I have a bridle on, but there's nothing connected to it. I am purely using my seat and voice to get her to move, and how amazing is she? I love doing this with Jep. It really does help you as a rider as well improve, because it makes you focus on your seat and legs as well as your voice rather than relying on your hands. I love doing this. I do it quite a lot. Jep really enjoys it as well. Here we have Kai getting on the float. As you can see, he's grown since the last video. I was very surprised with how good he was. I walked him around once, like I did as you just saw, and then he stopped at the float, poured, and he stepped right on, which was so strange because I was like, oh, I didn't ask you to go on, but okay, we can go on if you want. He was so brave. I was not expecting him to get on that fast considering how long it took him to get on last time, but it just shows that he's honestly amazing. We didn't go anywhere again with this one. He just got on and got back off, but he was amazing. He's definitely a special little dude. And he's darkened here because it's winter. Here is a cute clip of just Kai sleeping, having a snooze, just being himself. He's such a quirky little boy, and he's so affectionate. He's like, no, I don't want to get up. Sorry, Kyle. Here's a flat ride on Jet. Just some more improvement. Her pole's rising more. She's becoming much more forward and willing in her flat work, which is something, oh, I love her extended trot in that, which is something that we really, really improved on this year, is getting her more forward. She really started to enjoy her flat work a lot more, which was amazing because we got to shows and she was just a champ. Here we have our first ever official dressage test. So to think that we only started official dressage mid this year and managed to qualify for what we did next year is pretty cool. This is Camden dressage. We've done quite a few Camden dressages this year. I was really happy with how she went. Oh, lovely little change. We placed really well at this as well. We got 2 firsts and a third, even though it's yellow. Normally the third ribbons are white, but anyway. So here we have August, and this was actually a flying change ride. So it was super exciting, this ride. We've been doing flying changes, honestly, since December last year, which is December 2017. Little moment there. It's taken us a long time. She could never quite bring her hind end through. She'd get her front end, but not her hind. And in this video, it was when we finally started getting the hind end. We're just doing a couple elementary movements as well, because my plan was always to move up to elementary if my trainer said we were ready next year. So these are what her flying changes were like here. As you can see, she's able to get her hind end. She just chucks her head, but all I was asking for was the hind end, so I was very happy with that. Here we have the Zone Pony Club Dressage and Show Jumping Day. I was very happy with her in these tests. She was against so many big warm bloods, which was crazy, and she really showed that, hey, size doesn't matter. And she pulled a first in one test and a second in the other test, which ended up with Dressage Champion, which was so good. We also did the 75 centimeter show jumping rounds. We did 2 of them. They weren't amazing. We had some long spots and a refusal in both rounds. But we managed to pull a third in the first round, and we didn't place in the second round because it was a big competition, but everyone else had a lot of refusals in the first round, so it was okay for us. Here I'm just getting my little baby horse used to a mower, and the mower is, yes, on, as you can see. He's just so good. Like, he's such a curious little horse that he'll just, he'll just pull through. He's just so brave, and he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's not too scary. Oh, yeah, that's alright. I don't mind. I'll just keep my distance, though. Here we have Sugarloaf Comedy Dressage Day. A day I was very, very unhappy with. Did the 2.3 test and got 2 course errors, which was stupid of me. But, it happens. We still managed to place second, even though we had course errors, which was pretty stupid. But obviously we pulled in the right test, so we got 3 seconds, so a second in each of our tests. So I've come down the paddock and both horses are lying down, but they're supposed to see the farrier and they're just, no. Little whale. So as you can see, this is September now, and it's just me having some cuddles with Kai. He's such a sweet little boy and he's so affectionate. So it's lovely when he's lying down just to have a little cuddle with him. Now it's just him showing off and how he can roll right over. He's like, look at me, Mum. And there's Jet. So sleepy. So he's just like, oh, leave me alone. I just want to sleep. And then Kai's rolling over again. He's so funny. And they always choose to lie, like when they're in this big paddock with the dam, they always choose to lie at the very, very back, which is where they poo as well. I don't know why they choose to sleep here. I think it's because it gets a nice little breeze through it as well as some sun, so it's not in the shade here. And this was when it was quite cold, so I think they liked it here. And Jep's like, go away, please, let me just sleep. I was like, human, love. Poor Jeppy. She's like, please, just sleep. Hey, pick that
My hat!
And here we have another Camden dressage competition. I honestly love these comps. They come around quite regularly as well, and it's just such a lovely club and just such a lovely atmosphere to be competing at. Everyone's so nice and it's just great. I love the grounds, it's just wonderful, and it's a nice drive. So as you can see, our leg yields are getting much straighter. Not perfect obviously, but considering where they were at the start of the year, they're starting to really straighten up, which is nice. We started scoring higher for them as well as our transitions, and her poles just coming higher and higher, which is amazing. So we did 2 tests this day, and it was a prelim and a novice. I'm not sure which one, sorry, but we ended up bringing home a first in both of those tests, which was awesome. So here we have my first barrel dressage competition. I am actually a part of this club as well, and this was their championships. So that means they go from prep to Grand Prix tests on this day, and which also means a lot of the time you get a lot more people coming through from Sydney and other areas rather than your locals. So despite having such a big field of amazing competitors, we managed to get a first in our prelim, and in both our novices we brought home thirds, which I was very pleased with because it was quite a big comp for us and our first champ. Now here we have some videos from my Bear Equestrian shoot. So this was when Bear decided to send me some products. In these clips from my lesson and this ride at home, I am wearing 2 different pairs of their tights and a singlet of theirs, as well as the jacket I have on right now. So Jeff was really, really lovely in both these rides. The indoor is obviously my lesson. She's just becoming much more forward and willing, especially in the contact. She's becoming much more supple, and her pole is just getting slightly higher each ride. We also begun to start doing canter leg yields, which you will see in a second. And she really does the canter leg yields quite nicely. I mean, once you have the established leg yields in trot, the canter's pretty easy. And here we have the beginning of our traverse, which was a very hard thing to get the hang of for both of us. But yeah, so we're just focusing more and more on those elementary movements, so we were able to move up to elementary in 2019. And here we have some counter canter as well, which she does very nicely. The biggest thing with our counter canter was just to slow her down. She will stay in the counter canter quite well, but she just tends to speed up and lose a bit of balance. And here we have some shoulder ins. Well, that was quick. And just some sitting trot work and more cantering. I don't have many clips from lessons, unfortunately. There's some more canter leg yield there because it's always such bad lighting, and a lot of the time I go alone. Here is the second championships we did, which was at Como. We ended up winning both our tests, and if I had done another test, no matter what my score was, I would have ended up being Young Rider Champion, but I ended up getting Reserve Champion because I didn't do the 3 tests. But that was still awesome. I got some cool prizes. Here we have the Robertson Spring Show. Now this was not as good as expected. I got first in my rider, which was great because I'm in the 17 to 21 year old class now, so that was pretty cool. However, throughout the day I noticed Jeff was not herself. She was acting up a little bit. As you can see there, I've included some clips, just things that she wouldn't normally do, especially at shows, and it was just very strange. So she still went very well. We placed in all our classes, getting some firsts, a second, and I think a third, but I ended up pulling her out halfway through because I was like, she's not right, and I got her checked out. My body worker was there, luckily, and turns out that she had kicked Kai and given him a really nice boot, which hurt herself, and she put herself out of shape because Kai was also lame, but yeah, funny ponies. This is my last championships and the biggest comp we actually did together and ever, which was the ACT Horse and Dressage Championships. Very, very big competition, crazy atmosphere, but it was lovely. We did 4 tests, 2 prelims and 2 novices. I was very pleased with her, so over the moon with her. However, she was a bit on the forehand and her pole started to drop because it was a long drive there. We did stay the night, However, I think it was just a lot for her, and she got a bit tired, and it was hard for her to keep her pole up. But I was still very happy with how she went. We managed to get a 5th and 2 6ths, which was amazing out of all of the competitors, because I didn't think we were going to place at all. Now, Kai's first time lunging. I do have a full video on this, obviously, if you want to see all of it. But pretty much the first time it was just a lot of this. He was just playing on the lunge and just being silly and just stopping and not wanting to go again. But, I mean, I was really happy with how he was because he'd never been lunged before, so I honestly couldn't have been happier with him. He was just a bit arrogant at times though, and he tried to, you know, just push me around, meaning like get his way, not literally, you know, pushing me, but just tried to test me a little bit. And I was like, you know what, no, you're not stopping, no, we're going this way. But you know what, he got the hang of it. He's quite a cheeky little horse, and he does get quite arrogant and piggy, especially when we're trying new things. He will test people. So it looks like a mess, especially because I've really just put a lot of the bad in it. But we ended up just stopping when he did about 5 circles of a nice relaxed trot. I'm not lunging him for work, I'm just lunging him for educational purposes, so I don't care how long he works for, just as long as he works correctly, and then I'll stop. Even if it's just a minute, if he just trots on the lunge for a minute and he's perfect, we'll stop. And we just do it on both sides, obviously. This is when I was asking him to stop, and he was quite good. He came in quite nicely. But yeah, here we have the Christmas Dressage Championships at Barrel Dressage, which was such a fun day. We got to dress up, as you can see. We did a prelim and 2 novices. I got first in my prelim and second in both my novices, which ended up giving us reserve champion in the novices. And then my prelim test was actually the highest scoring prelim out of all of the other prelim tests and the competitors in the young rider division. So we actually got a trophy, which is awesome, for the highest score. We got a temporary trophy which stays at the clubhouse, it just lives there, but on the awards night I will be getting one to take home with my name engraved on it, and the one that I won that stays at the clubhouse will also get mine and Jep's name engraved on it, and that's the trophy there with my reserve champ ribbon. Now here's Kai's second time on the lunge, and I couldn't believe how good he was this time. He stopped maybe 2 to 3 times, but he didn't chuck a tantrum when I asked him to keep going. He just stopped, and then when I was like, no, he was like, oh, okay, so just watch here, and he's like, oh, no, I'll stop. He's like, oh, alright, sorry. Both times that I lunged him in these videos, all I wanted him to do was trot, by the way. I didn't want him to canter. I just want him to be relaxed and happy in the trot. And here he stops again, and I'm trying to get him to come in, and he's like, oh, but look at this. I was like, Kai, come in, please. Stop showing off. But he was so good, so I didn't go on that side very long until I then put him on the other side, and it was quite a quick lunge session for him because of how good he was this day. I'm still lunging him now, just in the trot, and just getting him moving. It's just, you know, some little simple groundwork that I thought would be good before he gets sent off to be broken in about a month. But he was awesome, and I was so proud of him. He's really getting there. And here we have the second last lesson of the year, I believe this was. And here is our canter, which was really getting there. She's really started to slow down. She's rising her pole a bit more now in the canter and just becoming a lot more stronger in the canter, which is amazing. Here we just have some sitting trot and some travers. Now, I was really happy with how our travers are coming along at this stage. We're finally being able to get the angle as well as the straight neck along the track, which you can see obviously better in these clips. They're still not consistent and not perfect, but considering on what they used to be, I'm so happy, and so is my trainer Les. He even gave us a nice big clap at the end of one of them. I think it's here. Does he clap here? Yeah, there he goes. But yeah, she's a gem. Now this This is Romeo. He is a little Welsh pony that I rode for a lady and will continue riding. You will see him a lot in 2019, don't you worry guys. I will be riding him and competing him at some hack shows in his breed classes and in his open. This is my first ride on him, so I obviously don't look great, and he's been out of work for months. So he's a face you will see quite a lot in 2019, along with, of course, all the other horses featured in this video, and maybe some more. Hush hush. I hope you guys enjoyed this year in review, and I'll see you guys next week for more videos. Alright, bye!